All right, I actually spoke earlier to Dr. Omar Zakhilwal. Now, he's been a former finance minister of Afghanistan. He's been a former representative of the Afghan president, and he's now also emerged as a key player in the talks between the Taliban and the other earlier political leaders. And he's actually in Kabul. And I began by asking him that Dr. Zakhilwal, when so many others left Kabul, escaped, what made you actually stay back?
Well, actually, not only I've stayed, I returned after Taliban took over Kabul. I was out of the country. And when Kabul fell to the Taliban, I decided to cut my trip short and then returned here. Of course, I'm not afraid. Why would I be?
Well, because the former president himself, Ashraf Ghani, fled.
Yes, he did. And that was not a good thing that he did. And many other senior officials of the government who fled did not do a good thing to have fled. I think they will go down as somebody who abandoned their people,
right,
who were responsible to lead, and yet they did not lead. But anyway, that's their problem.
But explain why you felt confident enough to come back. Has the Taliban not threatened you in any way?
I've been involved in talks with the Taliban for the past 3+ years. In interactions with them, with the leaders, in facilitations of the meetings that have happened between leaders of Taliban and the political leaders in Afghanistan, whether that was in Moscow twice or in Doha. Prior to the formal negotiations, I certainly was not part of the formal negotiations. I did provide some informal advice to both sides, or help in the U.S. Taliban negotiations. So I do know the leaders. It's those who were based in Qatar, but the others as well. So I know them.
Okay, you know them, and we were actually carrying some tweets of yours of various meetings you've had. But now, since you've been back in Kabul, you're still talking to the Taliban. What are they saying to you about what exactly is going to happen? Now the Americans have left. Are they now actually serious about trying to form some kind of inclusive government?
Well, I have met many. They have visited me. On the second day of my return, a big delegation of the Taliban came to my house. A big number of leaders as well as the fighters to welcome me. And that's from where our interactions in this new phase in which they're in control of Kabul have begun. So I am interacting with them, no doubt, trying to play my role, guide the situation towards good. The Taliban have won the war,
right?
And now peace has to be on their mind. The end of war is not peace. We must persuade them to lead them to an inclusive government in Afghanistan, for it to be a government for peace, for it to be sustainable.
Right.
And that is what we are trying to do right now.
Okay, you're saying that that's what you expect of them, but just look at the record. Look at what some of the instances I read out. Reportedly, a folk singer who's been shot, a former police security chief in Farah who was shot. A number of people in Spin Boldak have been taken away and executed, according to Human Rights Watch.
Look. Well, I think we can look at it from so many different angles. These are unfortunate incidences that must end and must not be repeated. But we must also look at the bigger picture. The capital of the country fell to them, and it was also sudden. It was also unexpected, and yet in this capital, you don't see any serious issues of concerns. It's still, you go out to Kabul, it's peaceful. People wonder about their lives, no doubt. They're concerned about their future, no doubt. They are scared as to what's going to happen, not only in the future, personal to them, not so much that, but to the rights and opportunities and all that. But as a whole, within 10 days, the whole country falls to them, and you don't see any serious destruction, any serious, let's say, revenge taking and all that. That's the bigger picture.
You destruction, but I mean, we had that terrible attack, on Kabul airport, and I wanted to ask you about that, because again, the Taliban said that we will not let our soil be used by terror groups, and yet you had most likely ISIS, which has claimed credit for it, carrying out this attack.
Well, that's a different, again, we need to be fair. What they have promised that they are not going to allow or assist international terrorist organization to operate out of the country. Daesh is an enemy of Taliban as much as it's the enemy of everybody else. So you cannot hold Taliban responsible for Taliban's for Daesh actions, because Daesh is somebody that the Taliban are past few years have been first enemies with. So what, of course, is a matter of concern is for Daesh to be able to carry out such sophisticated attack when there was prior knowledge that they still went through the checks and all that and carried out this attack. And this, of course, concerns us about the future.
Right. Now, of course, you seem to be giving the Taliban the benefit of the doubt. But again, if you look at with the political talks, we keep seeing all these meetings, but nothing has emerged. Are you actually convinced that the Taliban is willing to walk the talk, that they will try to include people like Hamid Karzai and Abdullah into the government?
The fall of Kabul, and there's the Taliban after the fall of Kabul. I was convinced that the Taliban did not want to capture Kabul by force, even if they could. That would have made it easier for their leadership. Militarily, it makes it more complicated for them, because then the military side of the Taliban claims it to be their win, not a political win, and therefore they get an upper hand, and their sort of political thinking is different from the political faction or the political elites of the Taliban.
Right.
So we are in that sort of a situation right now.
Okay. Could you be part of this new Taliban-led regime, if they ask you?
I'm here to play a role not for myself, but for my country. We've had enough of this continuous cycles of chaos. And we now have an opportunity. We are right at the start. We can lay the foundation either for a sustainable, peaceful, inclusive government with rights and responsibilities that gives assurance to the public, or we can lay the foundation for another cycle of chaotic, God knows, 4 years.
I want to ask you this because you were finance minister. The economic crisis seems to be quite acute. We are seeing the visuals of people queuing up outside banks in Kabul and so on. How bad is it in your assessment? Extremely
serious. I think we are in an economic crisis, and this could lead us to economic collapse, and that would be devastating. But the economy depends also on a political settlement, on a political achievements. The sooner, and that's why I say time is of the essence. It's primarily because of the economy. The sooner there is a conclusion politically, the sooner we could be reassured about the economy.
Okay, last question. I saw, because you've been saying a lot of these things even on Twitter, and I saw a lot of people asking you if you've pledged allegiance to the Taliban. Have you?
No, I'll pledge allegiance to in Afghan, inclusive Afghan government. If there is only a sole Taliban government, I do not see that as a sustainable solution to this country. There will have to be an Afghan government of which Taliban are part.